My name's Ann Barnes. I'm so happy to see so many of you here. And I would like to introduce Emily Bancroft, who will tell us about the history of Gilbertville. She is chair of the Hardwick Historical Commission, which is a town-appointed body. She is curator at the Hardwick Historical Society. She has written several books. The History of Hardwick, Volume 2, was 1865 to 1950. And she knows so much about the town. She did give a previous talk on the history of Gilbertville. It has since been expanded, and that's what you will hear today. Emily?
I hope that everybody can hear me, and I hope I remember to keep the microphone real close. That's what they told me to do. It's wonderful to see so many of you here. I'm glad you're going to join me on a trip through time as I give you highlights of the village in a history of Gilbertville. Let's have a little bit of background, first of all. In 1687, John Magus and Lawrence Massawano, attorneys to Anna Gomick and other sachems of the Nipmuc country, in consideration of 20 pounds of the current money, gave, granted, and sold to Joshua Lamb and 7 others of Roxbury a parcel of land about 12 miles long and 8 miles wide. The deed was not recorded until 1723, 36 years later. In 1726, Joshua Lamb and the heirs of the other men voted to survey the land and petitioned the general court to lay out townships. The court approved a smaller tract of 6 square miles in 1732. The new township was named Williamstown and divided into lots. Families settled here and built homes and businesses. The general court granted the petition of incorporation in 1739 and renamed the town Hardwick in honor of a prominent member of British government. By that time, Hardwick had several necessary businesses. On Danforth Brook in the southern part of the town, a grist mill for grinding flour was built in 1735. A ditch was dug to divert the river to power paper and sawmills and a shingle plant. In 1815, a blacksmith started the new furnace. The ore came from New Braintree over a bridge built by the river nearby. Stone foundations from this furnace can still be seen along the river's edge, and the Historical Society has pieces of slag found at the site. Charles W. Eddy, in his book Gilbertville Illustrated, published in 1885, said that a dam to supply water power had been in use at least since 1815, and perhaps earlier. The first detailed map of Hardwick was made in 1830 and shows the location of the new furnace and the various mills that included a paper mill built by Moses Smith. The map also shows the edge of the Gore, a piece of unincorporated land east of the Ware River. Although separate from Hardwick, the few inhabitants voted and paid taxes to the town. In 1833, the General Court annexed 200 acres of the Gore to Hardwick. This is the area that eventually became the village of Gilbertville. In the 1850s, the old mills and the furnace no longer existed. The sites, however, with their dams still had potential usefulness. There was a wheelwright shop at the end of Danforth Brook that made various parts for wagons, including the spokes for the wheels. Several families were living in the Gore, including Mr. Barlow. There was a sawmill and the water power to go with it. George H. Gilbert was born in Connecticut in 1806. He learned the carpenter's trade, and after moving to Worcester, became a machinist. In partnership with 2 other men, he began building machinery for manufacturing woolen goods. His experience at that occupation prepared him for his future success. In 1841, he moved to Ware to establish a business to manufacture woolen products. In partnership with Charles A. Stevens, he bought the Hampshire Manufacturing Company. They first made broadcloths, then fine flannels. In 1851, they dissolved the association. Mr. Gilbert took the stone mill in Ware and continued making fine flannels. In 1857, he partnered with his nephew, Lewis N. Gilbert, who had entered the business in 1851 at the age of 15. In 1858, the George H. Gilbert Company was making opera flannels. The operation was extremely successful. The Gilberts decided to expand their business. Additional water power for a new mill was not available in Ware, but just up the Ware River in Hardwick, a small spoke shop for making wagon wheels near the ruins of Otis Smith's paper mill was for sale. The Gilberts bought the land in May 1860. They demolished the shop, strengthened the existing dam, and began to build mill number 1. An agreement the same month for 550,000 bricks, well burnt, started the process. The first load of bricks was to be ready in July. Contractor provided the tools, machines, horses, help, and labor. The Gilberts provided the lumber and nails. To that end, the Gilberts bought many woodlots in town, mostly in the west part, to supply the timbers needed. The contractor built a water wheel and installed it. The Gilberts constructed a lock system at the end of Danforth Brook to divert water to the mill. Remnants of these locks still remain at the new furnace landing. The following February, an agreement was made to whitewash the interior walls of the mill with 3 coats in a workmanlike manner. In December, Patrick Riley of Hardwick signed a contract as a night watchman at the mill for 1 year at $90 a month. In the meantime, tenement houses were being built. One agreement in October 1861 specified the dimensions and cost of one of the houses at $325. By the time mill number 1 was finished, the company had also built 17 houses, along with the cellars, wells, and outbuildings. There was no railroad running to Gilbertville at this time, so all of the materials came from the east by ox cart over the old bridge from New Braintree, or the south from Ware. Some stones came from the Bugle, but most were brought from Medicine. Hundreds of men were employed to build the mills, set the power sources, and install the machinery. The Gilbert Company manufactured cloth in mill number 1 in 1862. Mill number 2 was built in 1863. You can see that right there. And mill number 3 in 1864. It was built across the road from the site, on the site of today's new furnace landing. This last mill was torn down in 1916 because it was not strong enough for the heavy machinery the company was using. With the Civil War raging, business was booming, and orders for cloth for uniforms was pouring in. In 1863, the Gilberts bought 200 acres of the bore on the other side of the river. They constructed a canal on land considered useless. They filled in the area and built mill number 4. They also constructed several tenements and called this the island. These houses were torn down several years later, and the power plant was constructed. The old sawmill in the bore was rebuilt to provide material for more houses. The Gilberts bought the quarry on the hill behind the stone church and used the stones for landscaping. Workers for the mills were needed. The first came from Ireland and Scotland and agreed to work for the company for 2 years. French Canadians came in the 1890s. Polish and Lithuanians moved here about 1900. By the 1920s, some Italian families were in the area. This led to ethnic sections of the village, and Gilbertville had names for its neighborhoods. I already mentioned the island by the number 4 mill. Bridge Street was known as the Patch. French and later Polish people made their homes here. When the Irish settled on North Street, Prospect Street, and Broad Street, the area became known as North of Ireland. South of the municipal building was Castle Gardens. Highland Terrace was called Christian Hill because the congregational minister lived at one end by the Trinitarian Church and the angels lived at the other end. The upper part of Gilbertville was known as Rum Hill. The 2 hotels had their liquor establishments and were located there. The Gilberts built several styles of houses for their workers. In these tenements, a family would be the principal occupants. However, every extra room needed to be filled with boarders. The Gilbert Company had rules posted in the house. 2 examples are: the tenant was not to allow rubbish in the yard and could not keep fowl or swine on the premises. They also had to keep matches in a metal container to avoid fires. The workday in the mill started at 6 a.m., so the women of the house made breakfast to be eaten before that time. 1 hour for dinner allowed the workers to return to their homes to eat at noon. They returned at 1 and stayed until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, when supper was on the table. Saturday was a half day of work. Every room had wood stoves and the ashes were empty. Lamps in the rooms were cleaned. Washing, iron, and mending were done for the male boarders. Before running water was available, the water was brought from the outdoor well and heated on the wood stove, both for laundry and Saturday night baths. Every room had a chamber pot to empty. On Sunday, the women got everybody ready for church and prepared supper at 5 o'clock. Then they washed the dishes. Most of the life revolved around the mills, but the town and county were also responsible for many aspects. After a flood in 1869 destroyed the bridge over the Ware River, the county commissioners replaced it with a stone arch bridge. The Gilbert Company paid for a private way underneath to connect the mills on both sides of the river. As houses were built for the Gilbert Company, the town authorized new streets. The company worked to improve these streets and use the labor of its workers to grade the land and install curbstones. By 1899, the Gilberts had installed water lines and paid for fire hydrants. The company had its own apparatus, including a hose house for fighting fires, and shared it when needed by the town. The town built a hose house by St. Aloysius Church in 1906, and a third house was located opposite the B&M depot by the river. The building right here. Stacia Stupak remembered that a hand pump was stored there. It had large wheels and a hose wrapped on it. B. Sullivan remembered a large padlock on the door. If needed, Ben unlocked the door and pulled out the pump. Shirley Avery remembered that Joe Jackson sometimes brought 2 horses, hitched them up, and they galloped off to a fire. The southern part of Hardwick, near the early mill sites, had a schoolhouse as early as 1830 on the end of Upper Church Street. As Gilbertville prospered, a larger school was built in 1866 with 2 rooms for 140 scholars. The town was responsible for the building, but the Gilbert Company contributed by giving an acre of land for the lot. In 1883, when a new school was built nearby, the company again donated the lot. By 1902, 3 school buildings in the village were in need of repair. The town voted not to spend money for that, but instead decided to combine the schools into one. The grammar school was sited on land again donated by the Gilberts. A high school had been built in Hardwick Center in 1888. However, the town did not provide transportation, so many Gilbertville children attended school in Ware. That building burned in 1905. For the next 5 years, the location for a new high school was debated at town meetings. Meanwhile, one of the old buildings, the Hoyt School, at the New Furnace Landing, was refurbished for high school classes. At a special town meeting in 1909, the Gilbert Company proposed a choice of 2 of their lots and $5,000 for building a school in Gilbertville. The offer was accepted, and a school was constructed between the Congregational Church and the Gilbert Orchard. The new Hardwick High School was completed in December 1910. That served the young adults in town until the long-awaited regional high school opened in 1967 in Barry. The remaining Gilbertville school buildings were used for grades 1 through 6 until the new elementary school was opened on the Lower Road in January 1990. The town of Ware was allowed to use the Gilbert and Richardson schools in 1990 when their own elementary school needed repairs. In 1867, the Gilbertville Literary Society was working to establish a library. The Gilberts offered a room over their office, and the library opened in 1882. In 1911, the company proposed a new building that was dedicated in 1913. Gilbertville Hall, dedicated in 1863, was the first public building in the village. The first floor was the Butterfield store. It later became the VFW Hall and is now a private residence. The second floor hall was used for various meetings. In the 1860s, Protestant church services were conducted there. Although George H. Gilbert had died in 1869, he left $20,000 for a church building. In 1872, the company gave a matching ramp and a spacious lot. An organ was purchased in 1874. A chapel in the same style as the original church was added in 1884, and the parsonage built the same year. The horse sheds that provided parking for parishioners' horses and buggies were relocated in 1885, and the front wall by the road was removed in 1901. Outside of the Gilbert Company property, a church to serve the Roman Catholic families was begun in 1872. St. Aloysius Church was dedicated on November 17, 1872. Next. The church originally had a steeple, but the steeple was deemed unsafe and removed in 1946. Land for the cemetery was purchased in 1898. New columns for the entrance to the cemetery were built in 1954, and fieldstone from the Jackson's farm on North Hardwick was used for the entrance wall. 15 additional acres were added to the cemetery in 1957. A parochial school was established in 1889. Catholic children from all the Hardwick villages attended school at St. Aloysius until the 1970s. The first teaching sisters traveled from Ware. A home was rented for them in 1895. In 1900, the house next door was purchased for a convent. This building was sold in 1979 to Edward Lebelzik and moved to Lower Road as his home. After the closing of St. Mary's School in Ware, a group of interested parents revived St. Aloysius School in 2017, and today it is prospering. Even though Gilbertville had many businesses and activities to accommodate its citizens, people and businessmen always had a need to go elsewhere. After the Civil War, several men provided horse-drawn coaches and wagons to travel in town and to neighboring Ware and beyond. The most anticipated method of transportation was the railroad. A charter for the Ware River Railroad was granted in 1867. George Gilbert was a supporter for this endeavor, but he died before it became a reality. The line came to Gilbertville in 1870. The station for that line, also known as the B&A, Boston and Albany, was constructed on Main Street at the site of the home of Wyatt Barlow, one of the original settlers in the war. Part of that house was moved across the street and is now 235 Main Street. The railroad station today is the Whistle Stop Restaurant. Railroad fever continued with a proposed route through central Massachusetts. Extensive work in the north part of Gilbertville was done for the Boston and Maine line. The route would have left Gilbertville for the west part of town in Mechanic Street. This is the end of the driveway of the Hanley-Cohen home. Rumor was that if the line was built, the town offices would move to the village. However, the national panic in 1873 led to bankruptcy for the railroad, and work stopped all along the route. When construction finally resumed in 1879, the original route to West Hardwick was resurveyed to pass through Gilbertville along the Ware River. In 1887, the B&M station was built opposite Mill Number 1. This is now the Hardwick House of Pizza. Because the railroad line would take over the road that ran behind Mill Number 1, in 1886 a new bridge was built further down the river. This is the well-known covered bridge that connects Gilbertville to Ware. A train wreck by the B&A station occurred in 1914. According to Charlie Angel, in the boxcars there were shoes that got scattered all over. For days and weeks afterwards, people went around the village trading shoes to find pairs to fit. In the early 1890s, a new form of transportation arose, the electric railway or trolley. After long delays, the first run of cars from Gilbertville to Forest Lake and Palmer was scheduled for Labor Day in 1901. Despite enthusiastic ridership, the trolley system was never very profitable in this area. In 1905, the automobile appeared, and larger vehicles like buses took over transportation. The trolley line went out of business in 1918, and the rails were torn up. Charlie Angel recalled that the cars were driven to the electric plant on Ware Road and burned. Bus service, automobiles, and trucks also took a toll on the railroads in the 1920s. Stations closed and the Massachusetts Central tracks were dismantled in 1942. That railroad now operates on the original B&A tracks. A national depression in 1873 caused a slowdown in the economy, and the Gilbert Company reduced its working hours. However, by 1876, the economy began to revive. A World's Fair was held in Philadelphia to commemorate the United States Centennial. George H. Gilbert Company displayed an assortment of the manufactured goods and received an award. Even though they listed their main offices where, most of the production was done in Gilbertville. Over the years, the fortunes of the company fluctuated, but they still continued to add to their housing stock with new tenements, and they made improvements to the mills. By 1882, there were 1,000 people on the payroll in both Ware and Gilbertville. The Barry Gazette wrote, "The next move will be annexation to Ware." Ware at that time had a population of 5,500. The Gazette went on that if Gilbertville were annexed, Ware would be applying for a city charter in 10 years. Over the following years, working hours changed as orders changed from fluctuations in the economy. Several strikes occurred to protest wage adjustments, even though the company tried to keep the mills open and running. During this time, the Gilbert Company continued to upgrade its machinery, like this Knowles loom, and manufacture and sell its products. One of the salesmen carried fabric samples that were eventually made into a quilt by his wife. A descendant donated this quilt to the Harvard Historical Society Museum. The telephone came to Gilbertville in 1878 as a connection between the offices of the Gilbert Company in Ware and Gilbertville. It was extended to the store of E.F. John Doe in 1895. And in 1909, there was an exchange for the village at the post office. In the early years of the village, streetlights were few and maintained by a lamplighter. In 1885, they were replaced by electric lights. In 1905, electricity came to the stores, and in 1909, the mills were electrified. A post office had been established in Gilbertville on April 1, 1863. According to Charlie Angel, the man who ran it also sold odds and ends as part of a store. One of these items was gunpowder. One night in 1901, when he was loading shells, they caught fire. With a huge bang, the building exploded and the roof, all in one piece, flew off into the river. The post office relocated to the business block constructed in 1894 across from the B&A station. That building burned in 1909. The post office then relocated to the end of Railroad Lane in the Brent block. This building at various times housed the telephone exchange, bank, and the doctor's office. A courthouse with Francis Reedy as the judge was located on the second floor, and the basement served as the town jail, according to Edwina Kirby. The post office moved again, this time to the number 1 mill office building in 1953. In 1984, the present post office was constructed on the open space used as the fairgrounds in the 1930s and 40s. This had been the location of the roller skating rink in the late 1800s. The rink was dismantled in 1898 and cut in half. B. Sullivan recalled that the Sullivan home on Luna Road was made from one piece of this building. In the early days of the village, Gilbert's attempted to provide the necessities with several stores. The first store built was the A.M. Butterfield dry goods store. A few years later, in 1870, Charles Hitchcock established the first general store in town. The upper floors had rooms for boarders. The Carter's family originally owned a store on Joston Road and purchased the Hitchcock building in 1945. It burned in January 1986. Was rebuilt and reopened exactly 1 year later. It is now the Hardwood Market and Packard store. Mr. Stevenson built a hotel in 1882 and named it the Caledonian House. We have to stop this. We have to stop the switch. Whatever we have to stop and switch. Carol knows a lot more about computers than I do. Okay, all right. In 1887, he moved it and built a new hotel, the Windsor. It still stands. Behind the hotel was a livery stable where a person could rent the horse and wagon. Charlie Angel said that a salesman would arrive in Gilbertville on the train in the evening and spend the night at the hotel. The next morning, he would rent a buggy, go out on sales calls all day, return the horse and buggy, and leave by that evening's train, his business completed. The stable became Fanning's Garage, one of the first in the area for automobiles. It was purchased by James Dorman in 1945 and used as a service station and the home for school buses for the town when the Dormans had the bus contract. The Dormans also sold boats at one time. It is presently Regan's Garage. A large traffic island by the Windsor Hotel was reduced in size in 1951, and the intersection widened. Gilbertville had an A&P store on Church Street in the 1940s. That corner of Church Street had Mickey's Furniture. the Gilbertville Public Market and Gilbertville Package Store. Pierre Plouffe bought the Windsor Hotel in the 1930s and ran a First National store on the left side. Amadeo Vigent built another hotel across the road in 1888 to replace one that had recently burned. This was named the Union Hotel. Over the years, changes were made to the building and it became less ornate. B. Sullivan recalled, I remember one man used to come up every night with his little pail and go to the Union Hotel downstairs. He lived just down the hill and would take his little pail of beer home for him and his wife. That's the little room downstairs. The hotel was a popular place for entertainment. The Polish band leader Happy Louie was playing music here when he was 14. The Union was sold and torn down in September 1972. This is now the location of the Cumberland Farm Store. In the early 1900s, competition from southern factories began to undermine the factory towns in New England. By the 1920s, many manufacturing jobs were lost and the demand for textiles declined. The last Gilbert involved in the company, J.H. Granville Gilbert, died in 1932 and the mills closed. They were sold to Leonard Campbell of Ware and Walter Holt of Gilbertville. Over the next few years, various proposals for new businesses were made, and prospects looked good. However, a flood in 1936 damaged part of the village and left mud in the weaving rooms of the mills. On September 18, 1938, a massive hurricane struck the area. Flood waters in the river spilled over the dam and destroyed it. The rushing water undermined the stone bridge and it collapsed. Built so close to the river, the walls of Mill Number 2 could not stand the raging river and collapsed. As children, Phyllis Jaxtis and Joe Marecki stood near the riverbank and watched the mill disintegrate. The covered bridge withstood the torrent and served as the only connection in the upper and lower parts of the village. In late 1940, the new bridge over the river was completed. In 1939, new owners attempted to attract business to Gilbertville. Taxes owed to the town were negotiated and paid. Some of the tenement houses were sold to individual owners. Gilbertville Plastics came to the village in 1946. Pioneer Textiles made worsted and rayon goods. Crowley Pharmaceuticals made vitamins and aspirin in Mill Number 1. LaPierre and Moore began to manufacture tents in the same mill, and then moved to Mill Number 4. Gilbertville Trucking was one of the largest companies in the area. William Carter Company was hiring for its knitted wear business. Pioneer Foundry organized in 1947 and bought the Powerhouse building. It was a successful business making iron castings into the 1980s until it was abandoned. The brick chimney, built in 1900 by Benjamin Manley, still stands. 150 feet high, it required 350,000 bricks. The base is 17 feet in diameter, and the flue is 6.5 feet. The cap weighed 1,000 pounds. In 1950, the Gilbertville Poultry Association bought the number 4 mill and used all 4 floors to raise 80,000 chickens. This created quite a controversy in the village because of the smell. The Board of Health soon closed the chicken factory. Appeals to the state resulted in setting a precedent for other communities to deny undesirable industries. The factory closed for good in October 1951. where knitters began operations in 1949. In 1950, James Neal brought the Ware Knitters screen printing division to the #1 mill. Paul Whiting was another company to use space in that mill in 1953. In 1955, another flood damaged parts of the village. This is a view of Mechanic Street. Up the river, the Barry Falls Dam was completed in 1959 to relieve the risk of floods. Over the years, Gilbertville has had many recreational activities. As each new ethnic group arrived, the members established societies for betterment and socialization. Many of these groups met in public buildings in the village, but some had their own quarters. The Hibernians built the Bren Block in 1905. The Burns Caledonian Club also met there in 1905. The Good Templars met in the business block opposite the B&M station in 1894. The St. John Baptiste Society had a clubhouse on Stevenson's Court. The Pastime Club was a group of men who lived on Bridge Street in the 1930s. The Pilsudski Association had met in Gilbert Hall. They built their own hall in 1916 on Jocelyn Road. Several temperance societies were formed since the Gilbert Company did not allow liquor on its properties. In 1907, the Women's Christian Temperance Union sponsored a drinking fountain that would serve not only the people in the village, but also the horses and dogs. The huge granite boulder sited in front of the B&A Railroad Depot provided a source of water for many years. Charlie Angel recalled that the water meter for the fountain was in the cellar of the station. In 1950, the state widened the road, and the fountain stone disappeared. Many musical groups were formed, and the Gilberts built and donated the bandstand that was located on a triangle by Railroad Lane. By 1956, it had deteriorated and was an eyesore. Someone in the village decided to fix the situation. An attempt to burn it was foiled. But on July 3rd, 1956, a second attempt was successful. The bandstand was destroyed. Finally, in 1957, the remains were removed by the Highway Department. Across the street, a tennis court was a popular attraction, according to Phyllis Justice. The Gilbert Company gifted a piece of the small common in front of the B&M railroad station to the town. This was known as Depot Square. In 1926, the town authorized a memorial there for World War I soldiers. The monument was dedicated with speeches and music. Changes in the common took place in 1957. The Highway Department erected a low fence. The area was being used as a path from the post office to the Whiting Company. The town wanted to keep the plot sacred and preserve its beauty. The overgrown bushes were removed in 2016, and the World War I cannon was installed at the same time. Begun in 1948, the Gilbertville Civic and Business Association welcomed members from all the villages and sponsored many activities for town children. The association sponsored parades and a skating rink and dances for adults for many years. In the first year of their association, they erected a huge sign on the World War I common for the Christmas season. 70 years later, in 2018, that same sign was set up at the whistle stop by the Hardwick Historical Society. A woman in New Braintree had stored it in her barn for many years and donated it to the society. The village had a swimming pool from 1921 when the Comet Club developed an area on Demon's Brook off Mechanic Street. This was used for swimming and fishing derbies into the 1970s. Edwin Beeman owned a family farm on the Hardwick Road and also worked for the Gilberts, repairing their factory clocks. He used the worn gears from the looms to make clocks on his barn. The barn and the clocks were well known in the area. The Bonavici family bought the farm and continued maintenance on the clocks for some time. The barn was dismantled in 2002, and the clock works were salvaged for a new location. The Harvard Police Association formed in 1954. They bought their first ambulance in 1957 and financed it by selling toilet paper from the Wheelwright Mills. The ambulance was garaged at the Gilbertville service station on Main Street. It was displayed around town occasionally, as this photo of the number 1 mill workers by the Box Club shows. The service continued until 1970, when the association voted to discontinue it. In 1971, the Rescue and Emergency Squad organized and housed a new ambulance first at the American Legion Hall, then on Spring Street. They marked the first modular ambulance in 1976 and a second in 1997. The squad bought a building on Lowell Road in 2000, but because of rising costs and lack of manpower, the group was dissolved in 2017. Today, although Gilbertville has not retained or regained the amount of industry and business it once had, there are hopeful signs. The Gilbert Stable, which is located right here, on Spring Street became a warehouse. It burned in 1980 in the location and became a machine shop. It is now Gagney's Garage and sits on the original foundation. Sylvester Soka's service station on Main Street was thriving until it burned in 1985. Today, it has new life as Rose 32 Bakery. Chabai's Market was a neighborhood store until the 1990s. It recently reopened as Lost Towns Brewery. The former Hardwick High School serves as the town's municipal office building. The town offices did move to Gilbertville after all. The library is well patronized. The Brown Block, a large tenement at the corner of Mechanic Street, was removed and the municipal parking lot was built in 1999. A gazebo was built at the site of the number 3 mill in 1999. This is part of the Ware River Canoe Trail and serves as a popular recreation area. Number 4 mill houses Gilbertville Storage and Pioneer Terminals. The railroad stations are popular eating establishments. Although now empty, the number 1 mill has recently been sold. The Trinitarian Church has an enthusiastic group of friends working to repair age-related damage and restore it to its former glory. In 1989, the town contracted with Claire Dempsey to inventory the village. Her work resulted in the placement of Gilbertville in the National Register of Historic Places. It is an example of a largely unchanged area that still exists much as when the Gilberts owned it. Gilbertville is striving to do well. I would like to say thank you to the Hardwick Historical Society for the vintage photos from its collection of scrapbooks. Cheryl Wolf for computer expertise in scanning photos, putting this talk in the proper sequence, and working the projector. The town of Hardwick for permission to use photos from town reports, History of Hardwick and Hidden Hardwick. Turley Publications for permission to use photos from all newspapers. Editor Eileen Kennedy and the helpful staff at the Ware River News office. And Julie Bullock, the director of the Page Memorial Library, for scanning lots of photos and easily working on computer programs I could never master. The Page Library provided the projector for this program, and the podium came from the Stone Church. Stories and photos of life in Gilbertville Past were shared by Charlie Angel, Shirley Avery, Phyllis Justice, Cecilia Carroll, John Murat, Beatrice Sullivan, Jean Buenavici, Edward Labelzik, yours truly, Ray Plouffe, Alice May Pollard, Joseph Morecki, Edwina Kirby, Stacia Stupek, Lost Towns Brewery, Romeo Carvis, Carol Goyenforce, Jen Kalenda of the Hardwick Assessor's Office, and Heidi Reed, Director of the Young Men's Library of Ware. I hope you enjoyed your trip through town. We would love to hear any stories you would like to share.
Thank you, Emily. Don't go away. We'd like to invite people who would like to offer stories to come up and use the microphone, because this program is being recorded thanks to the generosity of Bruce Linan, who is going to donate. We're going to donate this recording to the Harvard Historical Society in honor of Emily and her tremendous contributions to our history and our understanding of our area. Thank you, Emily. Who wants to come up? Anybody? Charlie Angel's no longer with us, unfortunately. How about Larry? Are you here? Do you want to talk to us?
I know I'm here, I'm shaking. Yeah. I'm not politically correct most of the time, so bear with me. And my language is the way I talk. So if I say some words that are not light, that's just the way I am. Pictures are great. That one up there, the Foundry, is the one I like the best. My father owned actually my grandfather owned a farm in New Braintree, and my father took it after him. And my father realized that you couldn't make money on a dairy farm. So he started working at the Pioneer Foundry. And we eventually moved to Gilbertville. And one thing I do remember is a lot of the houses in Gilbertville had toilets, but they didn't have bathtubs. Luckily enough, the house we bought did. So every Saturday night, you took your bath. Wow, big deal. But the other houses, you used the kitchen sink, which was well, we won't go into that anymore. The foundry there, since my father worked there, once in a while we'd take you for a tour over there, and I remember walking through the castings that were on the floor. They were still in molds, but as you walked by, if you stood by them too long, your pants would catch on fire. That's how hot it was. And these people, these men worked there. One of them was, I can't remember his first name. His last name was Lamson. He lived up in Hardwick. He was a great big man. And he poured iron there. And when you worked in a foundry, you wore foundry boots, which are steel toe. They were short, like a little above the ankle. And you always put your pant legs on the outside of them. And there's a reason why. In the foundry, of course, when you couldn't get a job anywhere else, you went to the foundry. And it was like Walmart. You got a job there on any time. And nothing wrong with Walmart. Don't get me wrong. You worked in the foundry? Yeah. Well, a local boy who was he was under 16 years old, but he quit high school and he went to work in the foundry. And believe it or not, they got him in the pouring iron division, and the molds had to be perfectly dry because you're putting hot iron into them. And I remember my father telling me that he was a big kid too. That the mold had some water in it, and they poured the iron in, it exploded. And when it exploded, the iron just sprayed all over. And he didn't have his pants tucked on the outside, he had them tucked in his boots. So the iron went down into his boots. And Frank Lamson was there, and a couple other big men. They had to knock him to the ground and pull his boots off. Well, the iron was already in there, so his feet came with him. And I remember that well. My father would never let me work in the foundry. Big wife is as far as I went for that. What else? Oh, the Union Hotel. I went to, yeah? I went to school in St. Aloysius, and we used to go for lunch at the Union Hotel on Fridays because they had clam dinners, and it was only 25 cents. Oh, great. So you'd go there, and there were other reasons too. And if you went on the wall in the Union Hotel, there was paintings. I mean, beautiful, beautiful paintings, and most of them were ladies. And the part that I've never understood is they all had nice boobs. But they had wings on them too, so I thought, being a Catholic boy, I thought, well, they must be angels. So we used to go there every Friday and get our quarter and get our dinner, and we didn't eat most of it. We just wanted a picture. One day, the nuns came down, and they wanted to have some dinner. Well, I'll tell you what, that was the last time we were allowed to go into the Union Hotel. I wish they would have saved those murals on the wall. But there's a lot more, maybe, but it's hard to remember all that stuff. It was a nice place. Oh, when you were talking about the different nationalities that came to Gilbertville, you're right. It was like the city of New York, I guess. I never was in New York. I don't really care. But there was different boroughs of Gilbertville. It was like where the post office is now. That's where we lived. And we were normal. And then there was Uptown. That was where all the hotels were. And I guess they were normal too. And then across the tracks, well, they were normal. But they were different, and you didn't go. Believe it or not, you stayed in your little area. You didn't go across the tracks. I don't know why. I think it had a lot to do. Now, this is only my opinion, and I may be wrong. I think it had a lot to do with the Little League baseball. Each town, and oh, wait a minute, Hardwick. I didn't even know Hardwick existed. Hardwick Fair? What is that? We never went there, you know? Not even go with them. I think it was the Little League, though, because and each section had a different Little League town. And don't you think? And each one was sponsored by a different company. And I think that's where all of this nonsense came from. And we never did get together until we went to Cloud Regional. And, you know, we were all the same. Barry, oh man, we didn't mess with those guys either up there. That's about, well, there's tons more, but my mind is a little soft right now. So somebody else jump right in.
I'm just going to tell a quick story. Any of you people who don't know, I'm her little sister. I'm the cute one. We grew up in West Hardwick, so, you know, Gilbertville was off limits. But my father was a member of the Gilbertville civic situation here. And he was one of the police force that was, you know, when you needed something, you called. Earl Sawyer would call up my father and say, hey, I need you to do something. And he'd put his uniform on. But he was also part of the first ambulance situation. And he was president of the first ambulance situation, which was like early 1950s, 55, 56. I remember as a little kid, my father would take me periodically on his endeavors into Gilbertville. And one of my memories is that they got a brand new Pontiac ambulance. It was green, wasn't it? It was green. And it was stored over at Soka's, which is now Rose 32. And the first ride of the ambulance was me sitting in the back on the gurney with my father and Earl Sawyer in the front with the lights going. Don't know where we went, but I was having fun. And they gave me candy. I was the first patient. I don't know, I must have been sick. But the other story was, you know, he didn't have any pictures, where the former antique places right across from the Windsor Hotel. That used to be a pharmacy and a drugstore, and had really, really nice giant soda fountain in there. And my father used to take me down there, and the gentleman that ran that place was also a member of the Civic Association. And my father used to buy me these really, really great vanilla fraps with extra vanilla, and let me read the comic books while they talk business. So that was the other really great part about Gilbertville, ambulance rides and ice cream.
You spurred something about the hotel, but no. I'm gonna go back a little further with the names I've heard. Charlie Angel. One time we were talking about the quarry up in the back, and he said, "Go up there and get anything you want." And then we started talking, and he said that my grandfather, which I never met on my father's side, was a teamster for George Gilbert. He ran the teams that, in the early days it was all horses. And he had high compliments for him. I never knew the man. Going back,
My uncle was too.
yeah. Going back to the hotel. I don't know if I should even say this. Well, there's two short stories in that book. One of them, I don't know if I was quite legal drinking, but the bar had access right off of the street. And I was getting into motorcycles, and I really love Harley Davidsons. My idol was Bernard Goodrow from Braintree. But one evening, things were boring, and all of a sudden, Bernie came into the bar on his motorcycle, rode around the tables, knocked a few of them over, and drove right out the door. I do believe it was a 49 panhead. There's one other thing that I'm not going to divulge my source of information about. The Union Hotel bar in the basement had water troughs that ran right at the base of the bar. You didn't have to go to the bathroom in the little water. And there was rumors about if somebody was too drunk to do it, other people would help. That's as far as I'm going with that one.
I'd just like to relate one story. When we first started working with the church, this lovely woman named Seal Carroll, whom I had met through Don Boothman because she was a great fan of music and always had been. She had gone to the Gilbertville High School. She was always a salutatorian because Leon Thresher was always a valedictorian. So she and Leon were really good buddies. Her grandfather had come to Gilbertville and he was a shoemaker here. And some of you may remember where the shoemaker office was. Was it near the Cumberland Farms?
The shoemaker or the cobbler?
The cobbler, I
The
guess.
cobbler was up on
Prospect Street.
Prospect Street, right up on the top, those buildings there.
Okay.
When I knew him, it was a college fellow.
Yes, that's Seal's grandfather. Seal Carroll. She married Carroll, but her original, I don't remember her maiden name, was Polish. Anyway, her grandfather, who was a cobbler, at one point decided life would be better in Poland. He had shoed probably everybody in town. So he took his entire family, all his worldly goods, and they got them onto the trolley, which Emily showed you, and they took the trolley down to Ware, and then they got everything onto the train. They took the train from Ware to New York City. They got on a boat. They went to Poland. And after a few months in Poland, he decided, gee, it really wasn't that good over there. He got everything back, his whole family, and they came back all the way, arriving via the trolley again in Gilbertville. So things really were, Gilbertville was very connected. It was, you could go just about anywhere. Thank you. And that's a gift from Seal. I wish she were here to share it with you. But she isn't here now. She's still alive and she lives in Paxton. Is anybody else?
I don't know, I'd like to share just a short story, but.
Very short. This I think this was actually the early 90s, but I think it was Chawbai's Market, which is now lost. Yeah, I think that was the first time I actually tried Moxie, which still exists. And the first time I think I blew soda out of my nose. I remember that well. Anyway.